This is something I learned from hostage negotiator manuals. And there's this beautiful phrase that I wish I had come up by myself, but I didn't. And it's to be an authentic chameleon. That you change, that you are adaptable, but you're still yourself. Usually when I talk about some of these influential techniques or strategies, I usually get somebody, at least in their head, but sometimes they'll raise their hand and say, but doesn't that make you fake? And if you're going to use influence in the sense of the dark arts, then yeah, as a con artist becomes an entirely different person than who they really are. In business, that's really not smart because authenticity is what's going to win at the end of the day. This is my personal belief. So you need to be able to figure out all of your different states and ways of being in your life so you can access it when you need it. If you say to yourself, oh, I'm just generally really shy and reserved, great, I understand that. But when you come home and you see your dog from a day's work, tell me you don't go, who's the good boy? I haven't seen you all day. How are you? How are you? And you amp up that energy and you get a little bit more boisterous, right? So you have that within you. What you're telling me is when you say, oh, I'm just not that outgoing, is I'm comfortable and I'm used to and I have the habit of not being outgoing. It doesn't mean you don't have the other side within you. It's just tapping into it. So when I first started interviewing these individuals, I honestly expected them to be like these evil puppet masters. I really did. I thought that they were going to be kind of sleazy. Okay, some of the pickup artists were. But they were the exception to the rule. But I found that that wasn't the case at all. They were some of the nicest, most open-hearted, authentic. On some of the calls, we cried because we tapped into a very genuine place. They're very genuine people. I remember the first CIA agent I interviewed. The whole time on the call, I'm thinking, you could be my insurance sales guy. Like, he was just so normal. I honestly expected like some superhero ego to him. And there wasn't at all. Now compared, and this is something that came to me last night, so I'm so excited to share this with you. I have often struggled with that picture compared to, if you don't know who this is, I didn't until a few days ago. I don't know his name, but he's on a show called Money Talks on CNBC, and he's like a sports betting bookie agent guy. I'm sure he won't be surprised to hear me say this, but he's kind of like the skeeziest of the skeezy. On this show, I watch these guys, they're on the phone. It's almost kind of like Wolf of Wall Street feel to it. On the phone, this is going to be a great deal. Are you want to make money or not? Are you in or are you out? Just all that ego, drive, push, ugliness. Now, I cannot disagree with the fact that this works. These people make money. But it goes so much against what I teach about influence, about the dark arts, bringing it into the light. So I for a really long time, honestly, I couldn't make heads or tails of this. And then it finally hit me last night. I was like, oh, this guy has multiple targets to choose from. If the person on the phone that he's talking to isn't going to buy, all he has to do is hang up, dial the next number on the list, and talk to that person. It's a numbers game. Versus the people that I interviewed, they didn't have the option of multiple numbers of people to influence. They had one target. They said you need to influence this person by this timeline, and we need this information. Totally different skill set and strategy. And it's the same in your business. Yes, in sales you might have multiple options, but with the people that you work with, the people that you share the desk, or that has a desk right next to you, you have no other option but to figure them out, to get into their world and figure out how to influence them and change yourself. Those sales guys that are constantly just beating people down, they're not changing themselves. They have one tactic and they're going after it. And it's influential. I argue that it's not influence. So what that means, this being an authentic chameleon and changing yourself, means that you have to get very comfortable with the fact ego suspension. Your ego never really goes away, but you just need it to hang out above you sometimes because you may have to tap into parts of yourself that, again, isn't habitual to you, so might feel a little bit different or awkward to connect with that person. Similar to if in theater and movies, there's the phrase, temporary suspension of disbelief. You watch action movies, and you know that in reality, somebody can't jump from that train to that train, then hop on a horse, and then shoot everybody within one shot, right between the eyes, and make it and win the day and get the girl. And you know that this isn't true. But you are still entertained, and you are still in the movie in that moment. So applying that same idea to these influential conversations, that sometimes your ego needs to take a back seat. And that's what surprised me when I interviewed these people, is that they were not ego-filled. They were very focused on you. And it's that observed portion. They just loved learning about people and figuring out that inner workings, and then have the skill set to work around it. That's what makes it so fun. And then you find new ways to connect with people on a deeper level than you ever imagined before. I honestly believe that the more you learn about influential communications, not only do you learn about people, you actually start learning more about yourself.